Meet Aussie guitarist Nick Maybury. Nick has toured with some of the world's leading rock legends and is fast becoming known as one of the go-to string slingers in the music industry today. Not bad for a kid who grew up on Sydney's northern beaches. Noted rock and roll icon Kim Fowley has even gone as far as to say, "I was right about guitar hero Jimi Hendrix in 1967. I will be proven right about guitar hero Nick Maybury."
Dad was into like lots of soul music and blues music around the house, so like Benny King and Sam Cooke and Stevie Ray Vaughan. So I actually heard Stevie before I heard Hendrix, but then I really got into Hendrix after that. My best mate James, his next door neighbour, they had guitars, and I didn't have a guitar at this time. So we go next door, and my mate James would play video games, and I'll sit there and play his guitars, right? It's kind of how I got my hands on an axe. We found out later on that Mum actually had a nylon string guitar in the cupboard at Grandma's. So I just took to that nylon string and learned how to play like Johnny Hooker riffs on it. People started saying that I sounded good when I was in the 8th grade. So I did all the music selectives at school. We had John Stone, which is Angus and Julia Stone's father. He was my music teacher. That was cool because he was very encouraging and sort of really into getting the best out of the students. He got me in the jazz bands and the big bands, and we toured Australia in like a school big band.
And it wasn't long for Nick to grab his first taste of rock and roll showmanship, paying tribute to one of the most iconic guitar performances of all time.
That was when I worked back in the day at Neil's Guitars and Amps, which is the best store in Manly for a long time. I was going to do Stone Free because I was just so obsessed with Hendrix and like Monterey and stuff, and I was just like, man, I'm going to do this Hendrix song. Maybe I should smash and burn a guitar for the show or something. And he's like, you know what? If you do it, take this guitar here. I'll give it to you for $50 only if you smash it. So I grabbed it and then $50, and then my mate Nima, he goes down to the BP and gets some Zippo lighter fluid because it was all on at that point. So I just chucked the guitar down and just put the lighter fluid on and just went for it and just lit it up. And then John Stone's on the side of the stage going, "No, Nick, no!" And then the whole crowd just went crazy, and then everyone just stood up and we had a standing ovation. Everyone just go mental. And then John's like, "I guess the crowd liked it, Nick." So I slaved at a cake shop to get an SG and a Border Marshall, and then started playing around. The first gig out playing out was in Belrose RSL. I was 16 years old. After doing like just a ton of gigs, met a ton of people, kind of things got more professional. Got a call from Warner Brothers guys. "Can you come down and do this audition for the Veronicas?" It's like, yeah, cool. It's like my first major label gig as a session guy for the label. So that was cool. Did like 2 Day FM live to air, bringing in 2006 for New Year's Eve and stuff like that. And started jamming with Jimmy Barnes around, a couple of guest slots of Jimmy here and there around town with Mahalia. And then one day I was playing with my mate Christian and Wilson and Stella at the Civic in the city, and apparently there's a couple of A&R guys there. And I got a call the next day. It's like, "Hey, you'd like to come join this project and like, you know, rehearse with us for a month and we'll pay you every day and it's decent money." I was like, well, yeah, that sounds good, you know. Kind of never got paid that kind of money before as a musician. That was a band called Mink. Got to work with Sylvia Massey and Chris Shaw and all these awesome producers and all these awesome studios. Got to co-write the songs, be the artist. It was awesome. It was an amazing experience. After the Mink thing folded, we all sort of went to LA because at the end of 2007, Perry invited me to come down and play at the Hotel Cafe for Tom Morello's homeless benefit called Access to Justice. It was like Slash, Flea, Mick Mars, Serge Tankian, Ketis was there. Slash played my Les Paul. He just turned up with no guitar. I got this call, "Do you want to come down and audition for Perry's solo thing?" Because James was still in a hiatus. It was like beats and Perry singing and just me and guitar going through a computer and amp, all these effects, and Etty would be dancing around us. We did like Coachella, Lollapalooza. In 2009, we had this thing called Perry Palooza, which is Perry's 50th birthday. Played Debbie Harry that night, played Call Me, played Twist and Shout with Billy Idol. And Perry, the bloody legend, this is what Perry gave me for his 50th birthday. It's a Stephen Webster from Beverly Hills, like this custom jewellery. Billy Idol's got one, Debbie's got one, anyone who played has this. And then like Jane's got back together, so like that was done. And that was a bummer. I really would still love to have stayed with Perry forever. And then I started to work with Matt Sorum from GNR and met Sherry Curry from the Runaways and got in touch with that whole Joan Jett world with Blackheart Records and started doing some recording with those guys. So I was like, what's happening here? Just amazing talent after amazing talent. It's like so awesome. 4 years later, Dustin calls me and goes, "Hey man, you want to try this thing out? It's Michelle Branch." I was like, "Oh yeah, cool man." Because I remembered her from the Game of Love with Santana. So I went in there and auditioned and then got the gig. The next thing you know, it was a big tour. So it was like opening for the Goo Goo Dolls across America. And me and Michelle had a really great working relationship. Matt Sorum gave me these Ovation guitars and got me this endorsement and stuff. And like, there's a different kind of more of a Melissa Etheridge kind of a vibe, like rock acoustic kind of thing. And I rock up with the Ovations, and she's like, "Hey, here you go. Here's a Gibson Hummingbird." And it's kind of like, never use those Ovations with me ever, kind of a thing. In the end of 2011, I broke my ankle skating in Hollywood. So I was on my way to a meeting on my skateboard and I had high heels on and I hit a crevice and then boom, rolled my ankle, broke in 2 spots, and I got the call for that Slash gig. I went in there and I was like kind of still hobbling a bit and I was trying to hide it, and under his breath, but I could still hear him, he's like, Slash goes, skateboarding guitar player. So I never skated ever again after that. Then I got a call for an artist who I'd helped develop in LA, this singer called LP. Speaking of broken bones, they called me, they go, hey, our guitar player's fallen over, broken his finger in the door. Can't do the gig. Can you come in and do Letterman for us?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome LP.
So we played Letterman. That was really cool because Letterman, as you know, everyone knows Letterman finished. That was the old Ed Sullivan Theatre where the Beatles first came and played at the same stage, and the Doors and everyone, you know. So that was magic. 2013, that's when Kim Fowley came into the picture. Kim Fowley was the original manager, writer, producer from the Runaways. Like, he was the Yardbirds publicist in 1966 in London and helped get Hendrix signed. Lived next door to Jimmy, and Jimmy would show him like Purple Haze, like where he got the idea from his science fiction books, and Purple Haze, explaining Purple Haze to him and stuff. Kim Fowley was involved with Richie Blackmore, and he knew Jimmy Page when he was just a session guy, and he had his own career like as an artist too. He had a song called The Trip, wrote Cherry Bomb with Joan Jett. He's an underground kind of a legend.
Kim Farley, hi. I bet you're singing right now on a record. Try to get some sleep tonight. I know you and the mates will go out and drink beer and talk about how great the record is. We're doing Nick Maybury album. And not just, well, how does the song go? How could it go? But what does the record sound like and all that crap. And enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.
That was 2013. Then 14 rolls around, Madden Brothers calling, which is Good Charlotte. They had that song We Are Done, and we did all the TV stuff out in America and out here. And we came out here and toured, did the Rod Laver and the Big Voice Fox Studios thing, Suncorp Stadium, just these huge, just massive stadium gigs.
But one of Nick's biggest tests was about to arrive, auditioning for legendary frontman Scott Weiland.
He had a project called Scott Weiland and the Wilderbelts. Rocco calls me out of the blue. You want to come down and audition for Scott? And then went down and auditioned, and they met the guys. Then they walk out of the room and they leave me on stage, the whole band. And they go, come in, and they go, you got the gig. It was really exciting, man, because those STP songs, they're really freaking special and unique and amazing. I worked with Scott for about 6 to 8 months. Played with Korn and Manson and all those big festivals.
Breaking news out of Bloomington, and it's trending nationally. The former lead singer of Stone Temple Pilots, Scott Weiland, has died.
Yeah, sad story here. His manager confirmed the death to the Associated Press this morning.
We just got back from Canada, and we had a day off in Chicago, and then we went to Minnesota to Mall of America, and then he passed away in the bus in the snow, man. So we all packed up and went home, and then it was a 9-week tour, and we got through 6 weeks, and God bless Scott Weiland, man. I learned a lot about his music and about his fans and business, and it was a life-changing experience. So that was 2015. The day before we left for the road with Scott, the Sayers Club is my local stomping ground for like in-town session work. It got really hip, you know, like Stevie Wonder would come and sit in on the Friday night. Black Keys played there. Gary Clark Jr. came in and played there. Our curator Jason was friendly with all this, you know, all the guys, the artists and stuff, and he knew Prince. So he'd planned it, got Prince in the room, and he's like, all right, Nick, give me some Hendrix. And so I just started playing the Machine Gun riff. We're in the groove, boom, down, down. And then all of a sudden there's a ruckus and the bass player's switching up. I go, what's happened? I look around, there's this like shorter little guy behind me, like, yeah, cool, I don't quite know who it is, I'm still vibing. And I see this afro and I go, oh, fuck, that's Prince. And then we're just there in the moment, just playing Machine Gun with Prince. And then he starts playing all these other changes which aren't in the song. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess we'll just follow him. It's Prince, you know, he's allowed to do that. And then we do Voodoo Child, and then we ended on the riff, and then that was it. And then we walked off, and then the rest is history. And then I was just like packing up my gear and stuff, and his PA or his security guard comes over and goes, hey, Prince wants your card. You've got a card. I was like, oh, okay, cool. No, I haven't got a card, but here's my number and my email. So I gave him my number and email on their phone and stuff. And then a year later, he passed. But the next day, I went out on the road with Scott, straight onto the big tour, and like they were like, what? You just played with Prince? That's cool. After the Scott thing, I started just doing more of my own shows. And then, then I got the Juliette Lewis thing. I was fortunate enough to play Europe with her, with Brad Wilk on drums from Rage Against the Machine, and Juan Alvarate from Mars Volta, and my buddy Todd Morse. He's the guitar player for Offspring. We opened for Chili Peppers in Interlaken in Switzerland. We opened for Iggy Pop in Vienna. Some vibe was just following me or something. I don't know, man. I just 100% committed to my art. and just good things came. I think my heart's always been right with music, and it's always been like authentic and in the right place, so that's a good thing to start with. It's got to come from the heart, then you've got to have the mindset to execute it, then the guts to really follow through with it. And you just stay consistent. It's kind of an interesting journey. It's a very out of the box kind of a lifestyle. I've been in times where I've been like, couch surfing and like, living in the studio and all that kind of stuff. So, it hasn't been easy. So I kind of like with the Mink thing, it was kind of like from the top down and then back up again. So I've worked my way up, got a huge kick up, then I was like rock bottom, came right back up again, and then I'm kind of like leveled out. I'm in a really good place right now, and I'm just looking forward to putting my music out and keep touring and keep working with other people and doing more recordings. It's cool, man.